Welcome, denizens of the internet. We are Grin and Bear It.
I'm AC, and instead of a drink, I'm eating popcorn.
That's perfect for this episode. I'm Knuckles, and there's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm drinking a yuzu flavored ramen. I don't know, guys. I need some sugar. Whatever.
I understand. I am Iris, and I am roasting mini marshmallows with a candle and making s'mores.
I'm Alice, and I'm drinking boozy hot cocoa, and I'm eating coconut Pocky.
Oh, that is an interesting flavor combination.
It's really good, and like the coconut's kind of a little bit crunchy.
Oh, that sounds very good. Well, submitted for the approval of the Grin and Bear It podcast, this tale is called The Dionaea House. It's just a little background on this. This is from 2004, and we'll link it in the description so you can go check it out. The entire thing. This is just a snippet. But this tale story is told completely in emails between this guy named Mark and his friend Eric. So we begin October 7th, 2004. Jennifer, friends and family of Mark. As promised, here are copies of the correspondence I received from Mark over the course of the last month. For the most part, I have merely copied and pasted them from my email application. Side note, LOL email application. That's how old we're talking, guys. This is live journal days. Okay, this is excellent. As you'll read, he requested this in hopes that you'll better understand why he did what he did. I made this site because it's the most efficient way to share Mark's emails with all of you. I'm not advertising this to anyone, but I do think it would be wise to pass this URL along to anyone who may help with the investigation. As I collect more information from various sources, I'll update this site to keep it an accurate record. I'll have that link at the end of the series as well. If you need to speak with me, Jen has my number. Thank you for your patience, and again, I am profoundly sorry. Eric. September 6, 2004, from Mark Condry. Subject, an old friend. Eric, hey man, it's Mark from Houston, the Saturday Night Gang. Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? I found your email from your website. Looks like you're out in LA now. Cool. I remember telling you should be out there doing the California thing. You still with Connie? I'm in Dallas now. I met someone who works in my building. We've been seeing each other for 2 years now. Listen, the reason I'm writing to you out of the blue is because I got this newspaper article in the mail. Maybe you got one too. It's about Andrew. You remember Drew? Travis would pick him up most of the time. Messy hair, sort of the fanboy type. I didn't remember his last name until I got this thing, and now it's really disturbing me. Do you know what happened? Did you hear about it already? Let me know if you have some time to talk. I can call you, or you can call me if that works better. I'm going to see if I can track down Travis and Dave. A quick search didn't seem to turn up any leads, but maybe they just don't have websites. If you still talk to either of them, let me know. Thanks, Mark. September 8th, 2004, from Mark Condry. Eric, thanks for the quick reply. I didn't mean to sound cryptic in my first email. I'm just reluctant, I guess. I hadn't really seen or thought about Andrew since he stopped showing up for our game night, and that was 5 years ago. That was about the time that we all went our own ways back in 99. You moved out west, I moved up to Dallas, etc. So when I got this article in my mailbox, it caught me by surprise. Yeah, I'll transcribe the thing for you. I wasn't sure if maybe you were the one who sent it to me. I'll put it into this email at the bottom. This is a snippet of Eric's previous reply. I remember him. He was never the kid. He was never the kid with the idea. He was the kid who agreed with yours. Slowest to get the joke, usually laughed the longest. Mark, that's Andrew in a nutshell. At least that's how I remember him. He got on my nerves sometimes, but damn if he didn't love being part of the gang. Peter Pettigrew. Anyway, he'd ask me for some poker chips on card night or borrow dice from my bag, that sort of thing. Whenever we played Tecmo Bowl on your Nintendo, he always wanted to be on my team, which would have been fine if he was any good. This is from Eric again. I haven't heard from Travis or Dave in years. They fell off the radar about the same time you did. None of us made any attempt to stay in touch. It was just one of those things. Back to Mark. That's okay. I wasn't trying to point fingers, but I was hoping you had already heard about Andrew, like you'd gotten a copy of the article. I still haven't been able to get a number or email for Travis or Dave. Maybe they know more about this than we do. Andrew usually hitched a ride with Travis most of the time. It was on the way home for Travis. Didn't Andrew live with his mom, like in an apartment? And his stepdad was a real estate broker, had that one house way out past Highway 6. You remember that? Andrew was scared to death of that house. Here's the article. There's a photo of Andrew with it. It looks like maybe it's a driver's license photo. Still had messy hair. Here's the article. Gunman shoots 2, kills self in Boise restaurant. Diners at the roadside breakfast cafe on Interstate 84 fled to the parking lot in a panic yesterday afternoon when a man entered and began shooting patrons inside, killing 2. The couple, John and Lucy Madsen, were having lunch when 26-year-old Andrew Hughes entered, wielding a Smith & Wesson .59 pistol, according to police. Witnesses claim the perpetrator was muttering to himself as he approached the smoking section and opened fire into the first occupied booth, fatally wounding the Madsens. Soon after, he turned the weapon on himself. All 3 were taken by paramedics to St. Alphonsus Regional Medical Center, where John Madsen and the shooter were pronounced dead. Lucy Madsen, 37, remained in critical condition for several hours but did not survive the night. Police are investigating Hughes' work and personal background, but as of this morning, a motive for the attack is unknown. Back to Mark. If there's more to this article, I didn't get it. That's where it was torn off. The other side is part of a Dillard's ad. This is really bothering me, Eric. What the hell was Drew doing in Boise with a fucking gun? He hung out with us for almost 2 years. I just don't get it. And something else is eating at me. I can't figure it out yet. Mark. September 9th, 2004. From Mark Condry, subject Andrew. Hey, I know how you feel. It's hard not to think of the times he sat next to us at the table, smiling like a fool, rolling dice and moving his pieces around the board. He loved Monopoly Light. Always wagged his tongue when he counted money. I don't think he realized he did that. It's impossible to think of him shooting up a diner. This is a snippet from Eric. There's no return address on the envelope? No, but the postmark is Idaho, not California or Texas. Back to Eric. Not sure if you've already considered this, but it's possible the whole thing is a fake. Some sick practical joke to mess with your head. You can get newspaper for, and it cuts off. Back to Mark. Yeah, I've considered it. I didn't tell you this either, but I called up St. Alphonsus and asked if they had a patient named Andrew Hughes admitted in the last month. They had no record of him. I asked if it would show if he'd been pronounced DOA and I got transferred to ER where they keep paramedic records and info on all DOAs. They have him listed. He showed up on August 28th, died of a gunshot wound to the head, pronounced dead by ER resident at 3:14 p.m. I asked for some contact info, like a phone or address where he may have been living. I got brushed off, told to call the police for that stuff. The hospital won't give out any personal information, not at least without some signatures. I haven't called the police yet. That's probably the next step. Glad to hear that you and Connie are going strong. Sorry to sort of dump all this on you. I just didn't know who else would care to listen. I'll write if anything else comes of this. At this point, I'm thinking maybe Drew's mom sent it to me. Maybe Drew kept track of me when I moved to Dallas and I had my address. I'm listed in the book. That would explain the logistics part. I'm overthinking things. Take care, Mark. September 10th, 2004. From Mark Condry, subject thoughts and concerns. This is to Eric again. Hey again. I know it's late or early depending on how you look at it, but this Andrew thing won't go away. I finally realized what's eating at me and I need to spit it out. Do you remember what went on just before Andrew stopped showing up for game night at your place? I do. He was gone for 2 weeks because he had a house sit for his stepfather. Mom and stepdad went on a big vacation every summer for like 10 days, and Andrew was just expected to stay behind. He usually just stayed at his mom's apartment, but that year he was asked to mind that house his stepdad owned, the one out in that old rich subdivision west of Houston. Maybe the guy had a bunch of houses. He was big on real estate, wasn't he? The guy had inherited this dog from one of his clients, somebody who moved out and didn't want to take the dog with him. I want to say it was an Australian Shepherd. Do you remember any of this? Andrew talked about it the weekend before. Dog had behavioral problems. Whined, barked, scratched at the door, peed on the carpet, didn't want to be inside, always wanted to be outside. Dad kept it in a kennel except when it rained. Andrew was supposed to take care of the dog, plus a few other things like mow the lawn, that sort of stuff. But Andrew didn't want to go. Dave got into an argument with him about how it was the perfect setup for your young bachelor, house all to yourself, party time, risky business, that kind of stuff. And Andrew kept saying it was too cold there for a party. Too cold. I distinctly remember that. And how he kept asking us to drive out there and stay with him while he was house sitting. I don't think anyone out there did they? I never did. We didn't see him for 2 Saturdays in a row. Then Travis picked him up like usual, since he was back at his mom's place. That's the one night with Andrew I remember the most. I bet it's the same with you. It was the most bizarre, frustrating night I had with the group. Andrew walked in quoting some commercial verbatim. I want to say it was a Tide ad. Travis told us he was like that in the car all the way over. Commercials, shows, movies, songs. Sorry, I lost my place, guys. I was like getting into it and then I got scared and I went, oh, okay, it's fine. It's okay. Yeah, the first couple of hours gaming was like being in the room with a TV on. Then he started parroting us. He'd just copy something we said. You remember? Tell me you remember this. I can see it in my head so clearly. Oh, and what was his response to everyone's complaints? Okay. Drew, stop quoting the Law and Order episodes. Please give the Pontiac commercial a rest. Dude, shut the hell up and roll your dice. Okay. And then he'd launch into something else a few minutes later. It wasn't just that he would regurgitate that crap. It was that he could take it so far. Whole reams of dialogue that he'd somehow memorized from one throwaway TV episode. Lyrics to entire songs. It went from odd to funny to disturbing in the first hour. Look, I'll come out and say it. Whatever happened in those 10 days, it changed him. He wasn't the same person after that. We all know this. We never talked about it, at least not with me around. But fuck if we didn't know instantly that the person that came back from that house was not Andrew. I wrote before that I hadn't thought about Andrew since 99. That was a lie. You know the way your brain sometimes reminds you of things you hate to dig up? The ones that sour your stomach? I've thought about him a few times about that night. Was that the start of this madness or whatever it is that drove him to shoot up a diner? Where were we there to see him first lose his grip? Jesus, Eric, why the hell didn't we say anything? And that's where I'm going to stop because it's right before it gets into some heavy stuff. So that is called the Dionaea House. If you, and like I'll, we'll include a link to it, but there's I think it's Bloody Disgusting. I forget. It was one of those websites, and they did like a little story on the Dionaea House in like 2019, and it's got the main, because this all was on the internet. It was its own site, and then of course it lost to the annals of time, right? Like it's just so someone took the story and put it on, I think, Creepypasta Reddit or whatever. I don't know, but anyway, the whole story is there that you can read, and then the story references several other people's blogs, and Bloody Disgusting did a whole thing on it, and they have a very convenient thing where it's got the story and then the 3 blogs. And when I say it will creep you out, it's just, you're reading it and like in 2004, when I read this for the first time, and I wasn't into horror stuff back then, it scared the bejesus out of me because I thought it was real. Like it looked real. It looked like somebody's thing, and they were they were chronicling about their friend's death, and like this whole story about how like, okay, there's this house, and it's so creepy, you guys. Highly recommend. I don't want to say any more because I don't want to give anything big away. So it's a nice little read, but it's not entirely much longer than that, so highly recommend. Go get your spine tingled.
Submitted for the approval of the Grin and Barrett podcast, This Tale of Woe. Well, not exactly. So it's a ghost story. It's a local ghost story. You're not going to find it online just because it's something I heard from a friend that it happened to. So my mother actually used to work for the park where the USS Alabama is. And she swears up and down that the ship is haunted. A lot of people swear up and down that the ship is haunted. I'm not a true believer in ghosts. Like, I think there could be something going on, but it's not really my thing. Plus, the majority of the stories, it's someone gets lost on the ship and someone helps guide them out. Or they're walking around the ship just kind of meandering, and they hear footsteps approaching from behind them. So the ship does a lot of events. They have groups come on, just like a regular park. So one of the events that they do, and they do it periodically, is they have the Boy Scouts come and spend a night on the ship. And they will actually stay in the beds of the soldiers. Like, they're still installed. They're still like these little hammock looking things. They're in bunks of, I think they're in like 3 layers. You have the top, middle, and bottom bunk. And then, it's a ship, so they're kind of hammocky where they kind of sway with the water. And so they stay in the original beds that were built into the ship. And a friend of mine was in the Boy Scouts, and he went onto the ship for one of these events. And he woke up during the night and realized that his friend wasn't in his bunk. So, it's a ship. It's a battleship. So the thing is massive, and if you don't know where you're going, you're lost. I've been on that ship probably about 50 times. I don't get lost because I've been there so many times that I know my way around. I kind of go places that aren't on the map, actually. I've had a lot of fun there. But, you don't go off into the dark unknown of this ship in the middle of the night. And so I think he thought he was dreaming, so he went back to sleep. And so in the morning, he woke up and his friend was back in his bunk. And so he asked him about it. He's like, hey, I don't know if maybe I was dreaming, but like I woke up last night and you weren't there. And he goes, oh yeah, I had to go potty. So I went to use the bathroom and I got lost. He's like, oh, you got lost in the ship? How'd you find your way back? He's like, oh, the nice sailor helped me.
What?
My friend had seen that the scout leaders were still in their bunks. There were only 2 adults on the ship with them, and he saw both of them. But the nice sailor helped him back to his bunk.
That's creepy. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, very, very, very helpful, but also, oh my gosh.
Wholesome but creepy.
Yeah. What did his friend say?
He's like, what do you mean the nice sailor? He's like, yeah, I got lost. Like, I don't know where all I went, but I was wandering around, and the nice man, he kind of described his dress, which it sounds kind of like, a sailor's outfit, which is very similar to the scoutmaster's outfit, so it's probably why he trusted him. But he's like, yeah, I saw him in this outfit, and like they have a lot of mannequins on the ship. That are dressed like
no!
Oh,
no,
yeah.
thank you. No.
Oh yeah, they're creepy. They're creepy.
Way to bury the lead. That is terrifying. Are you serious?
I'll send you some images, or I'll put links to some videos of the ship.
Yes.
Like, they have mannequins, like they have these like welded bars over certain areas, and they have them staged with like original memorabilia, some like pinup posters, and they have sailors' outfits on these mannequins, and these mannequins are just terrifying.
It's like every horror movie.
And they're throughout the ship. Like they have one in the galley, they have one in the radio room.
No.
They have a couple in the bedrooms. There's a couple in the
How this movie.
Yeah.
I die.
And like you'll just look in the corner and they'll just be standing there and just
Yeah, I'm not going to this ship.
From what I understand, a lot of people see if they see a ghost or they see something paranormal, they'll see it around the chapel area. They also have they have radio equipment on there still, and it's still functional but turned off. And they say occasionally like the radio will turn on.
Cool.
But yeah, the kids. Oh yeah, the nice sailor man helped me find my bunk.
Okay.
Which the ship itself did not have any enemy shootings. Like they didn't have any fatalities from battle, but they had, I believe, 5 sailors die from friendly fire on board.
Was there other stories like this where people encountered this friendly sailor, or was that the only story that you're aware of?
That's the only one I've heard personally, but I've heard of like not a specific story, but like other scouts being like, yeah, I believe it's haunted. Because I mean, they do these. It's like every month they have the Boy Scouts spend the night. So, I mean, I've been on the ship at night. I've like I said, I've never had anything I would consider an encounter. I mean, I've heard footsteps, but like, it's usually when there's people on board. So like,
yeah,
even if it was a ghost, how would I know?
Yeah, you're like, it's not uncommon to hear footsteps when there's other people around. I got you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really cool ship. I've been on it, like I said, a million times. There's like a boiler room that I've been to that's not actually on the tour, because like they have, you kind of self tour. It has like arrows and like you have a map, and it gives you like various different tours you can take of it yourself. And I just completely ignore it every time I go on.
No. Don't go to a boiler room. Do you want Freddy? That's how you get Freddy. No boiler rooms. No mannequins. What is this? What is this terrible place?
This ship of nightmares.
It's a freaking ship in a bay. Like it's a ship.
I mean,
it's on water.
I've literally been on that ship since I was knee high to a grasshopper. I've seen that ship every year of my life. It's not anything creepy to me. Because, like, I have a photograph of me being held by my dad drinking out of my bottle, on the ship. Like, I've been there my entire life. It doesn't creep me out whatsoever.
That must be like me and going to, like, cemeteries and having picnics, because that's what we did as a kid. Like, that's what my grandparents did, because there was a family plot that they took care of because the town wasn't there anymore, so the cemetery was there. And that's how we spend every Saturday. We go and take care of the cemetery, and we have a picnic.
I mean,
and I found out later that's not normal. People don't do that.
I mean, it might be different if, like, any of the ghost stories were, like, mean-spirited. But, like, every single story has been either, like, just casual footsteps or a sailor helping someone out. So.
Yeah. Speaking of ghosts, I'm the same as you, Alice, like same. I don't have a lot of, I've never really had an experience where I felt a presence, or, you know what I mean? I never, like, for years and years, like I would be in the same room with a person and they're like, did you feel that? And I'm like, I really didn't. I'm sorry. Like, I just don't have that. But very recently, in the last week, I had a very vivid dream about being in some old big mansion or something. Like, the dream was that somehow or another I worked there. I was like a server or like a tour guide, something like that. And it was definitely me, but I didn't recognize the place. And I was walking through a dining room and felt energy grab me and pull me back. And then I remember in the dream, I was on the phone with my mom. And I was like, yeah, Mom, I'm finishing up here. And then on the phone, I went, whoa, and like got pulled backwards and was like, okay, I hear you. You don't want me to go that way. I'll go this way now. And like, and it was a weird feeling because it chilled. It scared me enough to wake me up a little bit, to the point where I took control of the dream and turned it into, like, I befriended the ghost and was like, okay, let me help you. And like, I'm not even kidding when I say this. This is a real fucking dream that I just had. Like, and then like I turned it into, oh, can I hug you? Like, do you need human interaction? And then like I befriended the ghost and was like, you just need, love. And that's where my brain goes. I'm not even kidding. That's like most of like where my brain goes. I'm like, that poor ghost really just needs to find closure or love. When I watch movies too, it's really dumb.
Point of clarification. I said I'd never had an experience on the ship.
Whoa!
You just got the memory loose, actually. I completely forgot about this.
What?
I had a friend over at my house one time that she was very spiritual, but
okay.
So I used to feel cold spots in my bedroom. Mind you, house did not have central heating and air, so there wasn't like a cool breeze from the AC. It was a cold spot, just randomly, usually like right above my bed. And so I had her over for a sleepover, and we wake up in the morning and she goes, so who was that guy that came in and checked on us? I'm like, what guy?
Pee myself.
My
what?
Dad? It's like, no, I know your dad. It wasn't your dad. And like, there's no other man in the house. It's dad, and there's sister, and there's mother, and there's me. There is no dude. And she's like, no, he came in. He was wearing like a nice tux. Like, it looked kind of old, but like, he was a guy in a tux. He just opened the door, came in, checked on us, and then walked out.
Well, that's nice, actually. But also, what?
So what is this? Uncle, cousin?
No, literally a ghost.
No, there was no.
This No, no, I'm asking, did you try to research it? Is there family lore of somebody in a tuxedo who lived in a house?
Oh,
That's what I would do.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
though. It can't be. My dad built the house.
that's right. I remember you telling us that.
So,
Wait, wait, wait. He built the house, but what was there before that? Was it completely empty the whole time?
just forest. The only thing I can think of is there was a car accident where a man died on our street.
Maybe he was on the way to the opera.
So this is great. Well, this will segue to my story.
Okay.
So, to my experience, shortly around the time I had my own home, and I guess this was like 3 or 4 years ago. And I was in the house. It was daytime. I was by myself, and I was working on a project. And you know how sometimes you get like the corner of your eye or whatever, and you look over. And so I thought I looked over, and I was like, oh, hey, ex. So like who's now my ex? And then I realized I'm like, wait, I'm home alone. I just have the pets. So I look over, and there's nobody there.
Oh no.
So yeah, so I got an impression. I never really actually saw them. I just would always in the corner of my eye. I got an impression it was a man. Had the same energy of my ex. So that's why I thought it was my ex. Just sad. And so I talked to one of my friends about it because I had lived in this house for like a good 6 years before that. So I never felt this presence before, like never felt it before. So this was a new occurrence. Like it had happened within a couple of days. So I was talking to one of my friends about this, who's very spiritual. And I was like, hey, what do I do? Do I need to do something? Like, they're like, well, have you tried to have a conversation? Have you tried to talk to it? Do you try to say, hey, don't come here. This is not, like, have you told them that they're not welcome? And I was like, no, I can do that. And they're like, yeah, living have more power over the dead. You can have a conversation. You can tell them they're not here. I was like, oh, okay. So the next time I felt the spirit, I made, and again, it didn't feel like a real conversation. It mostly felt like I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but it mostly just felt like having thoughts in your head and interpreting what they mean because it's like an entity or whatever. So I just got feelings. So I just was like, hey, can you go? You're not allowed here. And they're like, oh, and I got like a deep feeling of, oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I thought I was, like I just got like this whole, like, I thought I was welcome here. I'll leave. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. Yeah. Have a nice, it was like just my feelings back. Like, thank you. And never felt that energy again, unless it was, now I'm getting chills, but unless it was, my ex who was actually there. And I never felt anything. There was another time where I felt like, I'll tell that story later, but there was like a demon cat that showed up, but I'll tell that story later. But, I'll explain that later. I don't want to do it at night. I'll do that one like on a daytime call or something.
Okay.
But this was actually somebody who lived and was passing through because I think the area that I lived in, it was an old home. And I think spirits and ghosts, or however you want to call them, are attracted because of where I live, area of New Orleans. I just feel like it's like a spot where we pick up energy and stuff. So how I interpret it is that the entity was passing through and was connected to, because they gave off the same energy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As my ex, they were like, oh, well, maybe this is a spot I can hang out in. So they technically don't have to have a history. That was my interpretation of it. They just kind of go where the energy is. But I get that a lot from a lot of people in our area where I hear stories and we talk about it. They're like, oh yeah, I have spirits that pass through here all the time. I'm always running a sage. And, and this normal conversation with people in the city is like, oh yeah, I'm always running something because always, because you have stuff come and go. So that was my experience. So I think maybe that your friend's experience, Alice, could have been that. Could have been the person that died in the wreck, or it could have been just.
We had a lot of people that would drag race. Like, there's actually multiple deaths on my street.
I'm just curious about if they were wearing a tuxedo, I wonder if it was like, could it have been an incident from like a prom night or something?
That's kind of what I thought, was like maybe a prom dress. She said it looked like 80s-ish.
Okay.
Whoa.
I wonder if you look up stories and see what happened. But it would be kind of cool. And if all they were doing was checking, spirits normally do tend to check on children and make sure they're okay.
Oh.
Kind of thing. So.
That's so
she said
nice.
he just opened the door, looked at us, like checked on us, and then walked out. Like, she said he stood in the doorway for like a few minutes, and she half woke up. It was like, hey, what's up? And he just kind of.
Isn't that sweet though? Wow, that's just
What
really
can I
beautiful.
say? They
actually.
like me.
Yeah, but like they don't mean you any harm, and they're just like, hey, we want to make sure you're okay. That's like so sweet.
Which is
Aw.
funny. We have like a running joke in the house that there's a ghost named George that opens the back door. Because like the back door just randomly opens itself. I think it just doesn't
The house.
click properly, but like
The
So
house.
now look up.
say, George,
now I wanna look
close the door.
Your street. Now I want to look up your street and see if anybody died in the 1980s named George.
I don't even know where we came up with that name. It's just the name we decide on. The ghost that opens the back door is George.
I like
Yeah.
that. It's like I love him and displace him and call him George.
Submitted for the approval of Grin and Barrett. I actually have two. But they're short. One's local from my hometown. There's this road that the story goes it was raining really hard one night. There was a car with a family in it driving down the road, and they slipped, and their car crashed underneath a bridge, and the whole family drowned. And legend has it that if you go to that bridge when it's raining, you can hear the children crying.
Whoa.
Softly, but you can hear the children crying.
Dude.
Baby.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever gone to there? Like, have you ever heard it?
No, I never went.
Thank
I never
goodness.
went. But it was like a thing. It was like a thing you could go and like sit at the bridge, but it had to be when it was raining. Otherwise it wouldn't work. So
That's creepy. Oh. Ugh.
but yeah. So, I mean, there are people, of course, people are like, oh, I went and I heard the children crying, but, you know.
Yeah. You're like, okay, Fred.
Sure you did.
And then I do have my very favorite creepypasta is the shortest creepypasta that I've ever read, but it's also the best. And it goes, so I was walking into my house and I heard my mom call my name from in the kitchen. So I walked over toward the kitchen and someone grabbed me and threw me in the closet under the stairs. And I looked up and it was my mom and she said, "You heard it too, right?"
I love that. I love that. That gives me the chills. No. That's a good one. I need to read more creepypastas because I like those scary stories. The shorter ones, you know.
The shorter ones are always my favorite. Like the long ones can have like a really slow burn and they can really get you by the end.
Right.
But the short ones, they're just like so much.
There's a lot of
There's
punch.
so much. Yeah, there's a lot of punch and there's just so much creativity that has to go into creating something that is like really creepy in like such few characters.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Is that the shortest creepy like scary story ever written? Or like one of the
I don't
shortest?
know.
There's a TikTok trend where it's like 2-sentence horror films.
Ooh, I need to look this up.
Some of those can get pretty creepy.
Oh my gosh. Real quick, now that you brought up TikTok and also okay. Like, have y'all seen these videos of these people going on hikes in like I think it's the Pacific Northwest. I don't remember, but it's like apparently or in Appalachia. I don't remember. But there's like allegedly creatures out there. I mean, there's definitely animals that can mimic human speech, but like I've seen TikToks where you can hear it. And they're like, "I'm out, bye," and they leave. Like this one person was hiking in the woods and they came across like a hare, you know, like a bunny. Stop making noise. It's my cat. Like on the trail and it was like dead still and just like this. And then the person who was hiking stopped and listened and the forest was quiet, like dead silent. And the person just kind of was like, "What? Ooh, that's weird." And then a couple of seconds later, here, "Help me, help me!" And the person's like, "Nope," and like turned around and ran because they were like, because it was really close by in the in the brush, and they're like, no, 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 no. I've heard stories like this where creatures mimic human speech, or like a cat or a bird, and then like attack you. So, but there's also the legend that it's like, a mythological creature out there that feeds. Anyway, it's creepy, you guys. I've seen like 2 or 3 TikToks. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. Ugh.
Why did we do this episode last? Like, I'm creeped out.
No, I'm sorry.
Dude, when I was trying to find like a ghost story, I found one that's it's from Alabama, and I hadn't heard of this one before, but it supposedly is a mother ghost that when children like get out of their house late at night and get lost, she like grabs them and gives them like a bear hug and then screams in their ears.
Ew, I hate it.
So it's apparently like it's supposed to be the ghost of a particular person that was around there, a woman that had lost her child, like her child died, and she kept going around town, and every time she'd see a kid, she'd give them a bear hug and wail in their ears because she was missing her child. And so the story goes that her ghost finds lost children and does the same thing.
Oh, that's
and
heartbreaking.
So basically, she keeps them in that spot so they're safe until dawn. Like, she doesn't hurt them, she just screams in their ears.
That's...
Probably don't sneak out again.
Yeah, they're like, I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized.
I'm traumatized.
Is she in white? Because that sounds like a Lady in White story.
That does sound like a Lady in White.
No, she's not in white. It was alliterative. I can't remember the name, but it was like MM. It was like moaning something, like not moaning Myrtle, but like Mary.
I was like, oh.
Like, I bookmarked it and I can't find it anymore.
Okay.
She turned into a ghost in my phone.
She's like,
there you go.
Peace.
So, because I mentioned it, a Lady in White, there's different versions of them. So normally a Lady in White is, the one that most people know is from actually the first episode of Supernatural, which is basically, and they combined 2 versions of, the Lady in White for their tale. But the normal story is that a Lady in White, gets upset with her husband, her lover or whatever, and out of revenge or just maybe she just had a bad day or whatever, she ends up killing her children, and because she goes crazy, like she just goes crazy, kills her children, and then realizes what she's done, and then takes her own life. And then that's what Supernatural did, but they also combined it with another version of Lady in White, which is a hitchhiker or somebody who's walking down a path on the road. And sometimes she's carrying a child. Sometimes it's just her by herself and she just needs to ride home. And also wearing white. Normal people say that people have pick up a woman in white and they're driving and then she disappears.
That would creep me.
So there's been different versions. Sometimes the ladies in white. I mean, there's been different stories of both these versions all over the world. But there is one that's basically, forget which town, but I think it was like Maine. It feels like Maine always has this, but there was one where you
Stephen King.
Yeah, there was a hill, and it was a lady, and like she was wearing like Victorian dress, and needed help. Yeah, I remember reading that story years ago, and I was trying to find it, and I couldn't find it. Alice, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, I found a story about it.
Okay.
So it was Huggin' Molly.
Huggin' Molly.
Huggin' Molly from Abbeville, Alabama. For mothers wanting their children to hurry home at dark, the legend of the witch-like Huggin' Molly was a helper. For children, she was downright frightening. Legend claims a phantom woman would appear to children, but only at night. She would squeeze them tightly, then scream in their ears. She never harmed them, other than perhaps causing some ringing in their ears. The figure was as much as 7 feet tall, wearing dark clothing and a wide-brimmed hat.
Okay. So,
whoa.
Very.
It goes on to say, one version of the story claims Molly was the ghost of a woman who had lost an infant, who dealt with the tragedy by hugging local children. Another states that she was a professor at Southeast Alabama Agricultural School who was trying to keep students safe by keeping them off the streets at night. I don't know, I find all the helpful ghosts.
Yeah. You have all the nice, well-meaning ghosts.
Like, they're scary, but they mean well.
Yeah, like they're not really scary once you know them.
Did we do the thing? We did the
I
thing?
think we did the thing.
Do you think we scared enough people?
I hope so. I'm a little scared. I want to turn on the lights now.
Yeah.
Watch some comedies after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch TikTok videos until I fall asleep.
Yeah, gonna wash some clothes and put something fun on. So I think we made this uncomfortable world. Actually, I think we made this uncomfortable world a little bit more comfortable. So
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Not my ghosts. My ghosts are nice.
yeah. We made this world a little bit more comfy. There we go.
So, like if you did, share if you think you should, and subscribe if you want to live. Thank you.